Somebody was about to applaud for you guys, so thank you.
Today's reading from the Old Scripture is from Exodus 12, verses 1 through 14. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month shall mark for you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year for you. Tell the whole congregation of Israel that on the 10th of this month they are to take a lamb for each family, a lamb for each household. And if a household is too small for a whole lamb, it shall join its closest neighbor in obtaining one. And the lamb shall be divided in proportion to the number of people who eat of it. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a year-old male, and you may take it from sheep or from the goats. You shall keep it until the 14th day of this month, and then the whole assembled congregation of Israel shall slaughter it at twilight. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and the lintel of the houses in which they eat it. They shall eat the lamb that same night. They shall eat it roasted over the fire with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Do not eat of it raw or boiled in water, but roast it over the fire with its head, legs, and inner organs. You shall let none of it remain until the morning. Anything that remains until the morning you shall burn. This is how you shall eat it: your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it hurriedly. It is the Passover of the Lord. For I will pass through the land of Egypt that night, and I will strike down every firstborn in the land of Egypt, both human beings and animals. On all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgments. I am the Lord. And the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you live. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and no plague shall destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. This day shall be a day of remembrance for you. You shall celebrate it as a festival to the Lord. Throughout your generations you shall observe it as a perpetual ordinance."
Our epistle this morning is from Romans, the 13th chapter, verses 8 through 14. Owe no one anything except to love one another, for the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. The commandments: you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and any other commandment are summed up in this word: love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor, therefore love is fulfilling the law. Besides this, you know what time it is, and how it is now the moment for you to wake from sleep. For salvation is nearer to us now than when we first became believers. The night is far gone, the day is near. Let us then lay aside the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. Let us live honorably as in day, not in reveling and drunkenness, not in debauchery and licentiousness, not in quarreling and jealousy. Instead, put on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make no provision for the flesh to gratify its desires. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church.
Our gospel reading today is from Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 through 20. If another member of the church sins against you, go and point out the fault when the 2 of you are alone. If the member listens to you, you have regained that one. But if you are not listened to, take 1 or 2 others along with you, so that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If the member refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if the offender refuses to listen even to the church, let such a one be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, truly I tell you, if two of you agree on earth about anything you ask, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them. I'm sorry, I forgot to do this. There you go. All right, I'm glad you could follow in the bulletin. I have something for Donna. Oh, okay. Okay. So, some strange readings today, right? Just a little bit odd. Mostly I'm focusing on the one that Wayne read for us, the one from Romans. Exodus reading that we had is clearly about Passover and the festival of Passover, which is coming quite soon. We're approaching Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah coming up at the end of September, beginning October, around that time. And so we'll do a little acknowledgement in our service when that day comes. But it's talking about the love of God for God's people and about providing a symbol by which God knows that these are his people. But in Romans, this is one of those texts that, for once, show to us that Paul actually is in line with Jesus. Those of you that have been here a while know I have a few issues with Paul and some of his things that he tells us. That'd be a good Bible study, the commands of Paul and, what's right or wrong. Anyway, the studies of the letters of Paul. But in this one, Paul, just like Jesus, talks about various commandments, and then he says what? They're all summed up in this most important one, the commandment to love. He says that that's the one. That will fulfill all the commandments. And in that, he goes on and he talks about, you know what hour it is, how you should be waking up from sleep. And you think of people that have been asleep for a while. Rip Van Winkle fell asleep in the Catskills and missed the whole revolution to find out that America was now a democracy. And then an older story, the Sleepers of Ephesus. These are 7 young men who hid in a cave in the 3rd century to escape persecution against Christians, and then when they woke up, this is one of those long sleeper stories, at the beginning of the 5th century, they discovered the empire had become Christian. So, we could explore sleeping through revolution and seeing what that means to us. Are we going to sleep through it all? How many are trying to sleep through the current political climate? How many are just saying, you know what, I'm just going to hang on, and eventually we'll have another great awakening, another great revival, and see what will happen. So how do we get there, and what brings us to that? That's really the question. We look at Exodus, and I get disturbed by God as a bringer of death. It's troublesome. At the same time, the same passage shows God as a redeemer, and a redeemer by showing his love to his people. So what is the message to us? It's as we're moving on, as we go upon, it's maybe let's not sleep through what's going on, but instead let's find ways to come together and to express our love with each other. Let's remember the story of Exodus, but let's even more so, dare I say, remember this common commandment between Paul and Jesus. This is the first commandment. This is the most important one, that you love one another. That love, that hope is the thing that renews us, the thing that restores us. It's the thing that impels us forward into doing what some people would say, the right thing, but into doing the thing that takes care of each other. And sometimes that means giving attention to details, like what's going on any particular day, on any particular week, maybe here at Bethel, what needs to be done. Sometimes it means taking care of ourselves, making sure that we get what we need to stay healthy, both in body and spirit, and also in mind. And the other thing is that it means in order to give love, we need to have love, and we need to seek out love. And we need to seek out each other to give each other that love. And that's one of the things that is so hard to do sometimes, because we're afraid. We just want to go to sleep. We just want to hide in there and not try to be awake during all of this. We want to wake up and have everything be okay. We want to wake up and somebody has fixed it. Our revelation has happened and everything is fine. And it honestly doesn't really work that way. Romans tells us it's time to cast off the works of darkness. St. Augustine in his Confession stumbled across this, and he said to the people, read this, understand this, pick it up. It's time for us to cast off the works of darkness and to move forward in the works of love. Romans says, not in reveling and drunkenness, debauchery, licentiousness, not in quarreling and jealousy. You know, we're probably all okay. Well, okay, we shouldn't party too hardy. We shouldn't get drunk. We shouldn't, you know, all of those first four, they're kind of okay. And then there's quarreling and jealousy. Sometimes we all have trouble with this, with quarreling and jealousy. Something we disagree with someone that's showing up a lot right now everywhere on many levels. Maybe we're jealous of someone's opportunity or someone's success. And the challenge here is really to understand that we're all in it together. That sounds simplistic, I know, but we're all in it together. We all need to work together to support each other. Now, not so unobvious of a transition is, this is our homecoming Sunday, and we'd hoped for a few more people, but I'd love to see who's here, right? And what I want to do is encourage you to reach out to some of your friends and family, even if you've done it before. Even if you've done it before and you're tired, right? If you don't want to reach out to them, reach out to some strangers. And say hi. I was at the market this morning, and I was buying bagels and things like that for goodies for before and after church. You know, and they were saying, boy, that's a lot of bagels. And that's a lot. And I said, yeah, we're having a special thing at church today. Because you know, I said, too bad you're not off. You could come, you know, maybe another week if you're off on Sunday, you can come visit us. It's really that easy. It's really that easy. Once in a while we get someone to come and visit on those days. When I ask you about filling out the Bible study survey, it really is because we want to know what people want. We want to know what they're hungry for and what will help them in their spiritual lives. And we want to offer these studies and things. But we also want to make sure that we're giving them at a time when people can participate or on a topic which might interest them and help them. So that's why we're asking that. You'll notice that on that Bible study survey form, there's, I think, one line or one question on it somewhere, I think 5 or 6, it just says about, asks if there's anything else, you know, anything else about. And I would like to know that, if there's something else. Even from you guys that think that I know everything about you or you know everything about me, if there's something else that maybe you'd like to see us tackle, do, try, maybe a book club, maybe a community project of some sort, but we already have our pet food bank, maybe some other sort of outreach. You know, we've thrown several ideas out there. We'd like to see them have maybe some sort of classes in other topics. So just scribble it on there or on the back or something if you have an idea. A couple weeks ago, many of you wrote on a little card your particular gifts or talents or things that you can do. I have those. I may call you, you know, and if you think of something on this one, like, oh, I'd like to help George with the chili cook-off, you can scribble that on there somewhere on the back. We don't need extra paper flying around, so that one will do. But the point of all of it is that how do we how do we demonstrate that we are part of the people of God? How do we reach out to each other and to our neighbors and show that love and share that love and be that love? It's really by taking a step forward now and then. It's really by taking a risk, marking ourselves. At Passover, the Jews had to do it with the lamb. We're going to sing a song at the end of the service that tells a little bit more how we can be shown to be people of God. But this little slide that I have up here right now are kind of some basics. I love this particular graphic that the UCC put out for us about what we do. How do we become the church? How do we reconcile, respond, renew ourselves with that love? And here's a list. This is by no means exhaustive, but here is a list. Be the church. Protect the environment. Care for the poor. Forgive often. Reject racism. Fight for the powerless. Share earthly and spiritual resources. Embrace diversity. Love God. Enjoy this life. All of those things are wonderful advice. So I pray that we can start practicing them and start practicing that most important commandment of love. And within that love, that we are sharing the love of God. And part of that is sharing Bethel. Amen.